So if you watched any of my previous videos, you'll probably notice that most of my tips and tricks involve saving time or being more efficient or getting to certain parts of the software quicker. That's because when you have an idea, you want to get it down as quickly as possible before you lose enthusiasm for it. Now I have a whole load of time-saving hacks, and one of those is a folder full of MIDI files that I tend to use as a quick start for my ideas, and that really does save me some time. So I think most producers will agree your time in the studio is very, very valuable, and you don't want to waste it doing those kind of tedious tasks, those monotonous tasks that you do with every single track. For example, if you're a house producer like me, you don't want to be creating that same kick pattern every single time. There's going to be certain parts of your track that you do exactly the same every single time, or at least you start it off the same way, which is why I have a folder full of MIDI clips. Now most of these are drum patterns, so I will have a standard kick one in there, a standard hi-hat, a standard clap and things like that, and it really saves you time. Let's jump into Ableton and I'll show you exactly how I got that set up. Now I've always talked about how I love the Ableton browser, and especially the fact that you can add custom folders down the bottom. And one of the custom folders I've added is a MIDI folder. So this is one that sits on my hard drive, and it's actually got two folders within it. It's got a drums folder and a melodies folder. I'll come on to the melodies in a bit, but the drums is the most important part. This contains standard drum patterns that I use all the time. So rather than coming up with the same kick pattern every time, same offbeat hi-hat and the same clap, I have them saved as MIDI files so I can use them really, really quickly. Because even though I do vary things up, these are kind of the main things of my track that I generally don't change. I have different drum samples, definitely, but I won't change the notes. Usually it's always a 4/4 kick. It very rarely changes from that. So having that ready to go is brilliant. So let's make a beat very, very quickly. So I'll take my MIDI clip for the kick, and then I'll also do one for the clap, and also an offbeat hi-hat. Now all I need to do is find the samples. So let's find a kick. Drop this on that MIDI track. Then let's find a clap. And then finally, let's find a hi-hat. And then let's play it back. So those are my kind of standard elements, but then I've also got kind of jacking snares in here. So like different patterns that really work well for jacking snares. So let me try dropping one of these in here. And again, let's go and find a sample for that. Let's drop that on this channel. So as you can see, it's really easy to get the foundations of your track in there very, very quickly. Yes, it doesn't sound amazing at the moment, but it just kind of gets those core elements that you'd normally put in your track in there very, very quickly. That means you don't have to program that kick drum every time, that clap every time, and the hat every time. It just saves you some time when you're producing, and you can get onto the more creative parts of your track. Now, it's not just drums you can do this with, you can do this with melodies as well. So occasionally I will come up with an idea and it might not go the way I want it to. Maybe I get bored of it, or maybe I just don't like it anymore. So what I tend to do is I'll actually save that melody, that lead line, that bass line, those chords as a MIDI file, and I'll put it within this melodies folder. Now this kind of gives me just the actual notes themselves. So maybe when I come to start a new idea some other time in the studio, I could then start with one of these melodies. Or maybe I'm working on a remix and I've got no idea for what I want to do with that remix. I've got these melodies saved from earlier that I'm not using that I could then use in that new remix. It works really, really well. So how do you actually make these clips? Well, let me show you how to do it with this kick, for example. Let's modify this kick and I'm going to save it as another MIDI file. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to move this double kick over to here and maybe put another double kick in there, for example. So again, nothing amazing at the moment, but it's going to be really useful down the road, hopefully. So all I need to do now is take that clip, right click on it, and then go to export MIDI clip. All I then need to do is save it in that MIDI folder on my hard drive. So you can see here I've got my drums folder and my melodies. I'll go into my drums folder and I'll call this kick 2 maybe. And as you can see, this now shows up straight within my browser and I can then use it on any track going forward. And say, for example, maybe you're working on a track idea and you're not too actually keen on the idea, but you want to save those melodies for later. So for example, here I've got 3 different layers of synths. So I can actually take these melodies that I've actually made already and I can right click, go to export MIDI clip, and then I can save it in my melodies folder. So it's a really simple feature of Ableton, but very powerful when you use it in this way. And it can save you a whole load of time, especially if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. If you're a dance music producer, then you pretty much will always start off with a 4/4 kick. You might alter it in some way, but having that as a building block ready to go will save you some time. And that time that you've saved, you can then spend by watching another one of my videos maybe. So hopefully this video has been useful to you. If it has, subscribe to my channel. I think the link should be there somewhere, here, somewhere. Anyway, get subscribed and hopefully I'll see you again in the next video.